We all have meetings, whether we're a client account manager or the agency owner or a salesperson, there's always meetings. And I think the big part for us as client account managers is how to make this meeting efficient, but also give that opportunity for you as the client account manager or the agency to set these relationships up with your client.
Welcome to the Happy Clients Podcast, brought to you by Dot & Company. Whether you're a virtual assistant, an agency owner, or a client-facing account manager, we all deal with clients. Lucky for you, client management is what we do best. Now, let's dig in, chat cam life, and have some fun along the way. Cheers to Happy Clients.
The biggest part of our role is to be the friendly face of the agency and to be the cheerleader to the client. At the end of the day, clients want to feel heard. They want to feel that they're the only client. If you, the agency owner, are still in the client-facing role, cool. Or if someone on your team is the person facilitating these meetings, even better. A big part of building this relationship with clients is in meetings, whether it's a kickoff call, a bi-weekly catch-up meeting, or even a monthly strategy call. In this episode, we're going to drop some of our key tips to leading an excellent client-facing meeting.
We all have meetings, whether we're a client account manager or the agency owner or a salesperson, there's always meetings. And I think the big part for us as client account managers is how to make this meeting efficient, but also give that opportunity for you as the client account manager or the agency to set these relationships up with your client. So I think, our role is to firstly open up the meeting with small talk. And it sounds like so easy, but you would be amazed how many people are so awkward when they get on a meeting.
Totally.
So what I like to do is not just talk about the weather, and it's not like you need to have a checklist of things to talk about, but just kind of have an easygoing conversation with someone. Like, Katie, when you get on a call, I feel like you're really good at this, but just asking them about their kids, asking them about their pets or their vacation or what they're up to or what's going on in their part of the world, and just kind of having that small talk. And a big part of that as well is just being that one person to start the small talk. So I always say, when I start a meeting, I'm always the first person to talk as the client account manager. And I might say something like, hey, Katie, hey, Emma, how are you doing? What's going on with you guys today? How was your weekend? What do you have on the go today? Just kind of being that first person to talk. So there's no awkward silence, but also not letting, this small talk of the meeting take over the meeting. We all want to be efficient. We want to get off this meeting as quickly as possible. So I think just finding that balance of small talk versus getting the meeting started.
Yeah, there's always people that can't quite figure out the mic or, are we doing video? Are we not doing video? There's kind of this 1 to 2 minutes of just weirdness that you almost need to fill up. And, weather's so lame. Talk about your dogs. Talk about, oh, is that a cool art piece you have in the background? Something that really builds that trust. We're all online. We are all virtual. We don't see people in the office, in the, water cooler or the office kitchen. This is our office. So just a little bit of small talk is always welcomed because often people don't, you can go days without talking to anybody sometimes. So it's so nice to kind of have that sort of just relationship builder that is small talk, but maybe to make your small talk not so small, a little more interesting, a little more client focused, something that makes them feel special.
And another key thing is taking control of the meeting.
Yeah, so I really feel like this is necessary, especially when clients go off. You know what I mean? They go off, they ramble, they can get sidetracked. What about this? What about this? I'm not seeing results here. Well, I have a meeting agenda that I need to follow, and we're going to get to all this stuff, but we really need to use this time efficiently. So take control, make sure people know that you're the expert, you are the person that is leading this meeting. It's about mindset too. I know I always talk about this. It's empowering to know that you have the confidence, the client account management skills to really take control of the meeting, let people know what's happening in their account, and then it empowers you to almost be the expert in this field, right? And it positions that relationship to the client.
Yeah, and it's not to be rude, it's just to really facilitate that meeting, and that is your role as the client account manager, is to be the facilitator and to make sure stuff is getting accomplished while still having that warm and fuzzy feeling for your clients.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally not about being rude, just being efficient. We talk about that in all these other podcasts. We need to be efficient. We need to make sure that we discuss everything in the time and we're not running over. We all have those clients that want to talk, that 61 plus minutes. And that's hard on your calendar. And it's hard to sit there for over an hour and just chat things through. So it's really about efficiency, and that taking control allows you to be the facilitator of the meeting. So the client knows what the agency is working on, what results are being given, and next steps.
Yeah. So, in speaking of taking control, a big part is an agenda. So, Katie, what would you do? Would you send an agenda before a meeting, or do you just run through it at the beginning? How do you set up the agenda?
I almost see two different scenarios here. There's the clients that don't need the agenda. They have the numbers in front of them. They know what we're going to talk about. So those people, I don't usually send an agenda to. We have a weekly report. I touch base there. Can't wait to talk about these numbers more on Wednesday. So they know what we're going to talk about. They know to have that email in front of them. We've done it a million times before. They're used to how the meetings go. That's awesome. That's really like the ideal, dream client for sure. And then there's other people who like the structure and really need the agenda. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what happened, what's happening, and what's going to happen next. And these are all the points, and people really appreciate that. So that almost is a level up. It shows people that you're organized. It shows people, here we go again, that you're efficient and that you're taking control, and it's your wheelhouse. It's your craft. You're owning this meeting. You know what's going on in their account, and really gives them that trust in you.
Mhm. And then after you kind of, take control, run through the agenda, talk through the meeting, talk about all your pain points or issues or wins or whatever you want to talk about. I think a huge part is wrapping up. So what I recommend is when you're wrapping up the meeting, run through what you just spoke about. Okay, so conclusion, here's what we spoke about. Bob, you're going to do this. Cindy, you're going to do that. And I'll send a follow-up right after we get off this call. But when we meet next week, here's the things that we definitely all need to bring back to the table and have completed.
100%, because there will be, I'm not going to say awkward, and I would say maybe I'm good at the small talk part, Taylor, but I'm not so good at the wrap up. Like I could be like, hey, is everybody good? What's going on? You good? You good? You good? You good? I'm just kind of like, what's good? Let's wrap up. But then I want to make sure everybody's like really into it. So as long as you're tapped into the follow-up email, which is so important, and we're definitely going to talk about that, but everybody knows their action items. They know what's coming up. They know kind of what happened last week. The wrapping up can be difficult, but definitely necessary, and a good way to kind of just summarize the entire call.
Yeah. And just if say you have an hour booked or a half an hour booked for the meeting and you only take 15 minutes, that's a win. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to fill the whole hour. You can always say, amazing, guys. Like we blew through this agenda to protect everyone's time. Let's wrap up and we can meet when we meet next week or next month or whatever. There's nothing wrong with kind of speeding up a meeting, getting stuff done, and just being efficient.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm just going to re-listen to this podcast so I get even better at wrapping up meetings.
Yeah. And then, of course, a follow-up, super, super important. And it is your role as a client account manager, or if you're the agency owner still managing clients, within half an hour, you should send a follow-up email. So, hey team, amazing meeting today. So good to see you guys. As we discussed, here's the action items for next week. Who's responsible, due dates, anything else that's important that you spoke about, and then the next meeting date time, just to confirm with everyone. And that's just super organized as well. It gives you something to reflect back on. So say I have a meeting today, then in 2 days, I'm like, oh, I feel like there was something I was supposed to do for that client. I just want to make sure I didn't forget to add it to my project management software. So go back to your meeting review and kind of just have your high level, because you know what it's like. If you have a meeting now and a day goes by, you're not going to remember all the things that you spoke about on that meeting. So the more that you can quickly get accomplished right after the call, the better. And it makes you look way more organized and makes everything just flow nicer.
Yeah, definitely my best practice is to talk about wrapping up, but in the wrap up, be like, this email's coming your way. I'll send it right after this meeting. We'll have all the listed action items. And then just a pro tip on my end internally, we use Asana a lot. You've heard us talk about Asana. And if you're a Gmail user, you can actually integrate Asana to your Gmail. So you write that email and then it actually can make a task right in Asana for you with all the information. You can even put the email right in there, but you can just make a task right away. So again, we're talking about efficiency. It's super organized. And that's when, tech is really going to help you out. We're going to integrate Asana with Gmail and then nothing gets missed. And just make sure that all those tasks are tasked out to the right people. If they're all on your list, that you actually are even tasking them out to yourself. But it's a great snapshot of what you discussed and what needs to happen.
Amazing. As a recap, talking about wrapping up and recaps, as a recap, the importance of running a meeting is that you're super focused on this relationship building. It's super essential to client retention. We see it time and time again. And make sure that you take these tips from our episode and embed them into your agency, whether you're the agency owner or the client-facing account manager. Maybe you're a VA and you're facilitating meetings for your clients. Take these, they will improve your meetings and make your life so much more efficient. Grab our onboarding checklist. It's on our website, www.dotandcompany.co/checklist. And you can include your very own meeting agenda straight into this checklist so that you'll never forget. We'll drop this in the show notes as well. It's an amazing resource and you can implement it directly into your agency today. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers to happy clients.